It all starts with a single image in your mind, a chilling picture, a 7-year-old boy, standing alone, clutching his mother's hand as she tearfully entrusts him to a Milan orphanage. The year is 1942, and for little Leonardo, whose father died before he was born, this moment is not just a separation. It's the beginning of a relentless, lifelong battle against fate. He is an orphan with no name to inherit, no fortune to claim, only the fierce, unyielding ambition that a childhood of deprivation can forge. Every moment of his young life, from his days at the Martinet orphanage to his first job as a toolmaker's apprentice, is a struggle, a fight for survival. At a time when other boys were playing, he was working learning to forge and engrave metals, a skill he would master despite losing part of his finger in a factory accident, a physical scar that would be a permanent reminder of his brutal start. You might wonder, how does a person rise from such ashes? What kind of fire burns inside a man who has to build himself from nothing? The answer, as you'll see, is a terrifying obsession with control. He never wanted to depend on anyone ever again. This deeply ingrained fear of vulnerability became his greatest strength. In 1958, with a few of his own savings and a tiny workshop in a mountainous village, he began to make eyeglass parts. The industry was already dominated by others, but Leonardo didn't care about the rules. He cared about making the best product. His workshop became the foundation of what he would call Luxottica, a name that would one day be synonymous with luxury. But here's the hook. He was not content with just being a supplier. He saw the entire industry, from manufacturing to retail, as a chain of dependency. He hated that. He hated that he was at the mercy of the big brands. What would you do if your entire business depended on someone else's whims? Leonardo's answer was simple, audacious, and a little bit ruthless. He decided to swallow the entire chain. The year is 1971, and Leonardo makes the pivotal decision to stop being a subcontractor and begin making complete eyeglass frames under his own brand. The industry laughed at this. A parts maker wants to be a designer. But the laughter quickly turned to fear. His obsession with control led him to a strategy called vertical integration, a concept unheard of in the eyewear world. He didn't just want to make glasses, he wanted to control the entire journey from the factory floor to your face. The public didn't know it, but when they walked into a sunglass hut or a lens crafter's, they were stepping into Leonardo Del Vecchio's world. And the most brilliant, mind-bending part of his plan was still to come. He looked at glasses, not as a medical device for old people, but as a fashion accessory for everyone. He saw the world through the eyes of a consumer, not a craftsman. This simple realization, this psychological shift, changed everything. He began signing licensing deals with the world's most luxurious fashion houses: Armani, Chanel, Prada. These iconic brands, once competitors, were now his partners. They had the name, but he had the manufacturing power and the global distribution network. He would later acquire the very brands that had once mocked him, swallowing giants like Ray-Ban and Oakley in a display of pure market dominance. He was a master puppeteer, pulling the strings of an industry that didn't even know it was his puppet show. He became a billionaire. But the story isn't over. Even in his old age, his obsession with control never faded. He was known for being a ruthless perfectionist, firing executives who didn't share his vision. When his company, Luxottica, merged with the French lens giant Essilor in 2018 to create Essilor Luxottica, the biggest eyewear company in the world, the internal conflict was immediate. Leonardo, even in his 80s, fought a public battle with the French executives for control. Why? Because for him, it was never just about money. It was about proving that a boy who came from nothing, a boy with no name, could build a legacy that was utterly completely and undeniably his own. It was a struggle for power that only ended with his death in 2022. So, what can we learn from a man who built an empire out of an orphanage bed and a psychological need for control? His life teaches a financial lesson that goes against all conventional wisdom. While most financial gurus preach diversification, Leonardo Del Vecchio went for ruthless consolidation. He didn't just invest in eyewear, he took over the entire eyewear world, from raw materials to the very stores where you buy your frames. This is a story of a man who didn't just play the game. He bought the entire playing field and wrote his own rules. His life proves that true wealth comes not from following the crowd, but from a single, relentless, laser-focused obsession. Your greatest weakness, your fear, your past, your anger, can be the very thing that propels you to greatness. The question is, are you willing to fight as hard as he did to get it?